Hey guys, hey, just a 12-minute video. My wife and I took a trip down to Charleston, so we headed out to Fort Sumter, and I really enjoyed it. So obviously I documented my trip out there, pictures and a few videos, so thought I'd just throw it together. This may not be for everybody, so if you don't care for it, just click off it right now, but a little history lesson on the front end, and then just some pictures. No relics being dug here. Didn't want to go to jail. So if you enjoy it, enjoy it. If you don't, click on the next one.
It's been 150 years since the first shots of the Civil War were fired on the ground that we're actually standing on today. And so it brings me great joy when I see children coming out and they're still interested in such a vital point in American history. And so it's a pleasure to get down one-on-one and talk with them about it, see what they already know, teach them a few things they may not have known.
If you're interested in American history, this should be on your bucket list. This is one of the places that Americans need to come to get a feel and an appreciation for our nation's history, from what happened here at Fort Sumter and what it means in the history of the nation.
I really like to encourage visitors to Charleston to visit Fort Sumter because it embodies this watershed moment in our country's history when you look at the Civil War and how it changed the type of nation that the United States was. The descendant of an enslaved African is going to look at that Civil War a lot differently than the descendant of a Confederate general. And that's our challenge out there, is to present history as openly and truthfully as we can, but it can be very sensitive and has a lot to do with identity. And that's why people value places like Fort Sumter.
A lot of visitors that come out to the site, they're familiar with the movie Glory and the 54th, but they're not aware that the actual battle was fought only a mile or so away from Fort Sumter. And so when they come out, I make it a point to tell them the story of the 54th, because it was important, very important in the Civil War, and important in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment being passed, following the war. I myself, I reenact as a 54th soldier, and so I'm out in a wool uniform, middle of July, because of my passion for it, so it's a very important story.
During the bombardment of Fort Sumter, Fort Moultrie played a critical role in that action on April 12th and 13th, 1861. Fort Moultrie is also administered as part of Fort Sumter National Monument, so you can visit it as well when you're on your Fort Sumter trip.
If you had a chance to check a map, you'll note that Fort Sumter is on an island at the mouth of Charleston Harbor. Your journey out to Fort Sumter will be the highlight of your visit here to Charleston. You'll have a chance to take a relaxing 20-minute cruise on one of the Spirit Line ships and give you a chance to enjoy an excursion on historic Charleston Harbor. Don't be put off by the cost of the excursion over here. This is a tremendous value. You get not only to experience the historic harbor, but you'll also get to visit the site where the Civil War began. And there's no more important event in American history than the Civil War and the changes it made to the rights and liberties that we enjoy today.
Construction of Fort Sumter began in 1829 when it was part of a series of forts built to defend the major coastal seaports. By 1860, the United States of America was being torn apart by issues of slavery and states' rights. With Lincoln's election as President of the United States in 1860, South Carolina secedes from the Union, followed by several southern states, forming the Confederate States of America. While Union troops still occupied Fort Sumter, Charleston, the city it was designed to protect, became a hotbed of rebellion as military forces gathered on the mainland and nearby islands. On April 12, 1861, 34 hours of bombardment began the Civil War. It was the beginning of 4 years of horrific fighting, North versus South. Over 600,000 lives would be lost in this tragedy. With the war nearly over, the Confederates abandoned Fort Sumter. On April 14, 1865, the Union re-raised the flag of the United States exactly 4 years from the date it was lowered. The fort continued to be used by the military through World War II. In 1948, the fort was established as Fort Sumter National Monument. When you come to Fort Sumter and you walk through those doors, you feel something. You feel what they felt, whether it was a slave, a laborer, a Union soldier, a Confederate soldier. You think about the fear, you think about the hurt, you think about the sorrow, everything that they felt as soldiers and the people of Charleston during the bombardments of 1863. It's all right. Look over the fortification and see Fort Moultrie, see Fort Johnson, where those cannonballs and those artillery shells came from. That is amazing. So you have to be able, as a park ranger, to not just tell it from one side. You can't be biased with it, and you have to dialogue with the people. You have to get them to understand what was going on in the Civil War. It's not just gray, it's not just blue, it's not black, it's not white. There's a deep story behind the brick and mortar of Fort Sumter, and you can only get it right here.
I was alone.